Hey Tanya,
Hey, yeah.
did you know? Here's what this is amazing. Did you know that the heads on Easter Island, they have bodies?
Yeah, aren't the bodies like definitely below ground and on the other side of the world?
Yes, the toes are actually what make Stonehenge.
Oh, is that what it is?
This random fact and more random crap today on FC3's Monkey Business. From Rochester, the home of Turning Point Park, Highland Park, and Cobbs Hill Park, and a variety of other parks, this is FC3's Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky. And as we all know, everything can be geeky when you love it enough. Starring Dan Carmen, Tanya Metris, Billy DeTore, and that would be me next, Chris Frank. And here's your host, that would be me, Chris Frank. But that feels repetitive. I'm going to go with it anyway. Hi, guys.
So now
Good
pop
morning.
yourself in your favorite chair and listen to this.
There you go.
There you
Pop
go.
yourself in your
Yeah.
favorite chair, your favorite car, whatever happens to be. And here we go for another week of us. How are my friends doing today?
Good. I'm on Facebook right now while we are doing the intro, and I'm watching this thing for fans, Star Wars. It's a caution cuteness overload. It's a little baby that's dressed up as Chewbacca, must be
Oh,
at
no.
Galaxy's Edge.
Uh-huh.
And then Chewbacca wanders over and is sitting next to him and tipping his head and looking at him, things like that. It is so adorable.
That is
But
cute.
but the baby had been eating like Cheetos or something, and
Mhm.
the mom took it away while Chewbacca came over, and Chewbacca looked at her like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Give back the." And he's pointing out like, "Give back the Cheetos." Aw. Oh, now the baby's hugging Chewbacca. This is when
Yay.
we could hug.
Which
This is
post
this is
that
definitely
one.
when we could actually hug. It's on the Constellation 2020.
Okay.
I
That's
like
where
that page.
that's
That is
where
fun.
that's currently where it is. It was posted 3 hours ago. But yeah, I was like, oh, it was my little thing of I needed a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh, well.
Nice.
All right. Well, ain't that but a thing?
Okay, so I'll turn Facebook off now. It happens.
Have you guys heard of the Roxbury Hotel or motel, whatever, in the Catskills?
Have not.
I think I've heard of it. It rings a bell.
Very,
Because
More than just a night at the Roxbury skit from SNL. I knew there was more to it than
right,
that.
it's very pretty.
but basically, yeah, they like every single room is themed differently. Like there's even like a Star Trek room.
Uh-huh.
Oh, hold
so
on,
you
hold
can
on.
stay in.
That's what I heard of. Yes.
Yeah, so like they have 2 or 3 different locations. I mean, they're right next to right near each other, but these two people, the 2 guys who Greg and Joe who own them, it's just amazing, these rooms that they and some of them, there's one of them I think you get like basically your own little, it's like suite of rooms too and everything. So it came across it this week. It's just kind of cool. And just,
They have
Go ahead, honey.
they have tower cottages at Stratton Falls. They
Mhm.
have mansion rooms at Stratton Falls and rooms at the Roxbury Motel. I think that's the one you're talking about. It says
yeah, all 3 of them. Yeah.
get
they're all
carried
themed.
away. Studio 1 or Studio 2. Ooh, they're very, very interesting.
Yeah, like you look at the cottages because they're individual buildings. They're very, yeah. I mean, it's just very. I don't know. I just came across it this week. I was just like, wow, I'd be kind of, and then it's the Catskills, not too super far away, but
Mm-hmm.
just they get like some of the rooms in the Catskills. They get the Lost Horizon, the Superhero Incognito, Galileo's Gate, Terraza of the Titans, Crown of the Pendragons, Dracula's Fang, Cinderella's Gown, the Fairy Forest.
Yeah, in the motel they have the Final Frontier,
Mhm.
Miss Kitty's Saloon, George's Space Pad. I'm assuming that's the Jetsons.
But just the fact that they took like almost every room and they're all individually themed and everything. It's really cool what they've done to this place.
So what you're saying is we have a
road trip.
We have do the weekend getaway team building retreat kind of thing.
I think so, yeah.
Oh my God, the cottages! I just clicked on the thing. Those are really cool.
I think even from the outside they look really cool.
I know. I didn't even go inside. I haven't even clicked inside yet. I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's all like white and black and like
Green
neon
doors.
green. Yeah.
Yep.
The Lost Horizon, you said. Yeah. Let's go to the
No,
superhero Incognito. I don't know. Galileo's Gate looks pretty good. It's got
that's
that.
pretty cool.
It's
got all
got
this.
that Astrolab sphere type thing. I think I showed Chris a ring that looked like it the other day.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Chris would love Galileo's Gate.
Yes. Crown of the
38.
Dragons. I don't know. That's kind of cool too.
They're all. I mean, they're all cool. I mean, we need a bunch of us to stay there. We can each have different rooms. We can each look at each other's rooms. You know, I mean, just because they're all. I mean.
Oh my God! Yes, I'm looking at that the Galileo's Gate room right now.
I'm hopping over to the mansion rooms now. Oh my God! The first one I see for the mansions room, it just the background is I like medieval hunting lodge type thing, or it was definitely some steampunkish type
and the
thing.
prices, I mean, for what you're getting are not
They're not bad.
No,
I mean, so I mean, these are.
Ooh.
Quick, somebody call Roxbury and tell them to send us a sponsorship because we're talking about them so much this morning.
Yeah, if anybody
cool.
if anybody goes because of us, tell them that you heard it on us, and they'll go, "Who are they?" But
oh my God, I'm just like an 1848 mansion. Holy cow!
Oh yeah.
I'm saying road trip.
Absolutely, I'm in.
How far away are the Catskills?
Not that far.
Catskills only. I think isn't that like the east side of
a 4-hour drive, maybe?
Yeah, 3-4 hour drive.
Yeah,
I think it's like Lake George, Albany, Poughkeepsie. I'm not sure if it's in that chain in that neck of the woods. I've always been kind of off on that. Let me find out.
We'll use our promo code MonkeyBiz.
Yeah.
I clicked on the fabulous Firkin Factory. And I'm just like, I just was loving the bathtub because it's like a whiskey barrel or a wine barrel, and there's a bathtub inside of it. It's like really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought this was worth sharing.
It's the eastern ridge of New York State. It borders on Adirondacks, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut. It's right down that line.
Okay, so
yes. Easy 3.5-4 hour drive.
Road trip.
I'm in. I drive. I got
spot and pool. Ooh, spot and pool. at the Crooked Cabana.
HGTV says one of the most amazing hotels in the entire country.
Oh boy!
Did you say it's up near the Catskill Mountains?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's about 5 hours. There's a folk festival I used to go to for a few years. It takes about 5.5 hours to get up to that area. It's just past the Hudson. Oh, is it? Okay.
I'm just kidding.
If it's in the same area.
I am not that much of a speed demon, although I will tell you, for the past many years, because of the various vehicles I've been forced to drive, I have not seen 80 miles an hour that much because the car usually starts complaining at around 55, 60. Like the Murano just would not want to go there. But now the Kia, Jules and I were, and Josh and Pupper were coming home from Ann's yesterday, and we were cruising down the 490, and I looked down at the speedometer, and it says 85. I'm like, okay.
It's a little bit better than my last car does.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was, and it felt like I had more to go. It really did. When you're in that zone with your car, and you're like, I'm cruising, and I could probably go faster, and the Kia's like, yeah, dude, let's do this thing. And I'm like, no. No. We have to behave ourselves. I like my license. So, yeah. So that was definitely an interesting thing. So you never know. I could be on the thruway doing cannonball run.
Not on purpose.
And they were featured on CBS Morning News.
You know what? I think that's the bell that rang for me because I remember how Sunday morning, the CBS show Sunday morning or Sunday. I don't.
Yeah.
Jane Pauley's
Sunday
the current
morning.
host of it.
Yeah.
And they have had some amazing pieces over the years. I've always enjoyed that show. Charles Kuralt and Charles Gordon, and I can't remember who else was. Who was?
Wasn't it Osgood?
Osgood, Charles Osgood.
Yeah,
thank you.
Osgood.
And now Jane
that's
Pauley,
a good show.
Just a great show. Very, very cool. Very mellow, very informative and entertaining at the same time.
So my question is, why are we talking right now instead of watching it?
Yeah, well, we live in an era where we can watch replays on that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that would be interesting if we did like a Facebook watch party. We're all just sitting around watching Sunday Morning with Jane Pauley.
Ooh, they're doing a profile of Jimmy Buffett.
Ooh.
Hey, Billy.
Hey, Tanya.
Allegedly, it looks like the Roxbury Motel has a Batman-themed room.
Oh, that's my room then.
Yep. There's a Batman headboard.
Okay.
And it looks like a big cave.
Okay, family retreat weekend. We need to do that.
The Batman motel room is the Batmaniest. Oh, yeah. It's actually pretty cool.
So, in case, dear listener, you hadn't figured it out yet already, we're off on one of our usual we don't have a particular topic. We're just going to just shoot the shit for a little while and see what happens. We do have some questions that Tanya found that's some really cool stuff. So after the break, we'll dive in and have some random questions to chat about. But for the most part, I think it's just basically the four of us just hanging out and chatting with you, our listeners, our friends, and wishing you guys to have I hope you're having a great fall so far. I know it's been kind of a crazy year, but here we are. We're in September. We're almost done. We're almost done with September, so we're almost into October. So there's only a few more months left to go, and then hopefully we can put 2020 behind us.
Ooh, and hope it's not just a warm up.
I hope that 2021 isn't like a hold my beer moment. It's like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think we've always we've always enjoyed autumn for the respect that we know that it's winding up of a long year. There's the wonderful colors in the falls, the crisp air, the smells. There's ways to celebrate autumn. And then we go into winter and you've got things to look forward to. You've got Christmas, you got New Year's, you've got family celebrations. Thanksgiving has been my all-time favorite holiday. And, and so there's this whole kind of way to wrap up the package, the story of that year, but with everything that's been going on and everything that is yet to transpire in the near future, there's this just trepidation and almost level of dread in some circles of what will be next. And it's just kind of soured. It's soured the last quarter of the year. It's like, well, maybe not soured completely. Maybe it might be dramatic, but that's what I'm feeling right now. It's like, I'm not as excited for this as I usually am.
This year, I'm sorry, Dan.
I was going to say, there's a lot of unknown we're going into here. So,
I'm saying this Halloween, everybody's just going to be a surgeon.
Yeah.
What are you, surgeon? Oh, look, there's an old-timey Western bank robber.
Yeah, there you go.
Anything that covers your face. Yeah.
Masks are going to actually be very popular at Halloween time this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't it just be the thing where Halloween, it's a full moon, it's on a Saturday, it's like the perfect event for Halloween, and yet we're not going to be able to thoroughly enjoy it 100%.
And it's daylight savings time.
Oh, so we're going to lose an hour of sleep too.
Yep.
No,
it's the day before my birthday too, so it's always a good time to celebrate.
We gain an hour. The clocks go back.
Fall back.
Yeah, fall back. It just means that like 7 o'clock becomes 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. So it is okay. So 7 o'clock, it's become okay. All right.
We still lose sleep anyway because your whole sleep cycle's off anyway. So
right.
I just never sleep anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Mm.
It doesn't affect me that much because I don't sleep very well. So
yeah, well,
me neither.
I'll say for me being in bed from 8:15 last night to 9:15 this morning, my sleep score was only a 54 for my sleep number bed. So I didn't have a very good night's sleep, but I slept. I don't. Maybe if I'd gotten out of bed at like 6 this morning when I woke up for the first time, that might have been a little better. But I was still sleepy. So
well, Juno, the 45-pound underdog, has discovered that she can actually take up 2/3 of the bed and not really matter. So
how long did she nap after coming back from the farm? Because you sent us a picture of her under your desk.
Yeah, 15-20 minutes.
Oh, okay, then she was up. Oh my God, poor Athena. She was just like she wanted to lay down so bad and crash, but then there was chickens. And then there was something else, and then it would just sit there, and then she'd look at me, and then she was starting to roll in the grass, and Sean's like, "No, stop rolling in the grass, because chances are you found something dead." So, but then like one of the pictures I posted to Facebook was Sean was finishing the roof last night, and then the next picture I posted was Athena crashed on the driveway underneath the table, and I'm just like, oh, the poor dog, she's going to need a bath because she was laying in the sawdust, and then she was in the grass, and then she was running around the chickens, and Sean kept yelling at her because she was smacking the chicken wire so much of the old chicken coop. Sean's like, I am done fixing things. Stop it. Because she was almost through that old chicken coop again. So we're like, oh man. And she wanted to lick Molly when we were in the house.
Well, of course.
Yep.
How did Molly react to that?
Molly took a swipe at her.
Molly is a tiny, tiny 1 pound kitten.
Oh, she's little.
She's little.
Yep.
She's got claws. Oh, God.
Yeah, well, I had scooped her up while we were in having lunch because Athena kept trying to lick her, and Molly wasn't having any of it. So I scooped her up, whatever. And Athena kept like trying to jump onto my lap, going, "I want to taste the kitten." Only because she wanted to lick her. That's all she wants to do.
Taste the rainbow.
Yes, she wants to just lick her and whatever. And so.
Well, Juno right now is in the same spot that picture was in. She's right there on my left on the floor up against my desk. And she's firmly planted on one of my feet. So I have one cold foot and one warm foot right now.
Oh, okay. So your right foot is cold and your left foot is warm.
Exactly, because she's right there on my side. And she knows I'm talking about it. So she looks up sort of at me at the moment. And then she puts her head, she's out. She's gone. Never mind.
I know. So. No, I did come up with when Billy asked the other day, what is our topic for the week? And I'm just like, we're podcasting, yes. Topic, no thoughts at the moment. And then
you didn't like my idea. I thought my idea was fairly well rounded.
All right, is it time for break now?
It's time for a break now.
Damn.
Come on. That was so easy. That was perfect.
That was perfect.
That was funny.
I was going to go, what was Chris's topic?
Yeah.
What was Chris's topic?
It was very well rounded. That's all I'm going to tell you. That's it. That's all I'm going to say.
I already went to break. So.
All right. So we're going to jump to break. And then when we come back, we'll talk about more random things. Okay, so we're back, and in order to continue on with the idea of random things to talk about, Dan, I have a question for you.
Okay.
I have a question for you right now. Time freezes, right, for everyone but you for 24 hours. You have 24 hours to basically weave your way through the rest of humanity. Everybody else is going to stop dead in their tracks and do nothing else. You can do whatever you want for 24 hours. What's one of the first things you do?
Oh my gosh.
Tell me how you're spending your day.
I have no idea. The fact that I'd have nothing to do, that'd be amazing. I don't know.
I have a suggestion. Go to Wegmans. Get those people out of your way.
Everybody's out of your way for a change. You can do self-checkout. Everything works out.
That's right. Okay. Everybody freezes but you, so everybody's just locked in place. Like you see in one of those movies. Weave around them, so traffic will be at a standstill everywhere. So you don't want to drive too far. I'm not a pilot, so I can't fly anywhere. So not as if I'm traveling far.
Well, there you go.
I have no idea. Ask somebody else. I don't have an answer to that right now.
All right, Tanya, you're the one who suggested the question in the first place. Have you been thinking about it at all?
Sure. Time freezes for 24 hours. What do I do? I don't know. It's been out for a couple days, and I have actually been thinking about it. I'm like, do I do something fun? Do I do something productive? Do I actually nap without anyone like bothering me?
This could show if you're the light side or the dark side here, because the things you could do
versus the things I'm going to do. Yeah. Well, I would not steal anything. I wouldn't I wouldn't go to that thing where I would do like break any laws. That's not happening. I don't know, maybe like run around and put black mustache, marker mustaches on people.
That's funny.
Not necessarily get caught doing it. I don't know. What is the Flash doing when? Because pretty much the time stands still for everyone else, or stands still for him when he was running around.
Right.
So.
Think of that scene from the X-Men movies where Quicksilver would go into action there
and jumping around and seeing all flicking the bullets out of the way and things like that, and
sending things into motion, stuff like that.
Sending things back, whatever. I think if I saw anything that potentially bad was going to happen, I would cause it to not happen that way, like an accident or whatever. If you see someone like getting ready to step out into traffic and you see a car coming, and like to put them turned around going the other way. I think that type of stuff.
How about you, Billy?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it too, and no, obviously the joke stuff comes to mind first,
right?
But I just do things that where you can sort of do them without people bothering you. If there's, I think it's just a good way to sort of get stuff done without being interrupted.
Billy's going to go look at comic books without being bugged by anybody else at the comic book shops.
That's actually kind of cool. Could you imagine getting a chance to like take down a Spider-Man 1 out of a special cabinet and just kind of sit there and read it very carefully with all the gloves and everything, and then pack it up all nice and neatly, put it back on the shelf, lock it all up. You're good. You got to touch an actual Spider-Man 1. That would be amazing.
It just shows how boring me and you guys, because I don't want to do anything illegal either. Do we want to go into a bank and sort of fulfill our financial needs for a while? Or
tempting, really, it is. And when I first saw the question, I thought of all the things that I could do, knowing I would be able to get away with it, like driving down to DC and pantsing Trump with all the cameras focused on him at the same time, and then driving back home in time to watch it on the news when everything comes back to life. Stuff like that. My vote would actually, because my family, my dad's side of the family, is a long line of pranksters. If you couldn't tell, it's genetic, right?
Mm-hmm. Really?
So I would, if I knew this was coming, I would drive to Ottawa, which is only about 4.5 hours away from me, about 4 hours. Drive to Ottawa. I would take a bunch of selfies with my cousin Christine, and then I would drive back home and have those pictures set aside. So there's about 8-9 hours of my day. And then I'd spend the rest of the day, I'd play a round of golf at Oak Hill Country Club, because because nobody's going to bother you. Right.
you can get on the course.
I could get on the course, I'd walk the course, lose some balls here and there, whatever the case may be, and then, head to Shaler's and make myself a garbage plate, stuff like that. But then the
golf one is a good idea because you're not interrupting anybody. I mean,
exactly.
No one's going to pressure you to go fast. You can take your time.
Exactly. You might have a couple of different hazards because there might be some, members out on the course that are frozen in time, so you have to work around them a little bit,
Yeah,
and would there be a way to run the rides at Darien Lake without?
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah,
but you can't like push the buttons and be on the ride at the same time, though. You almost need a cohort. You need like a friend to be in this.
Yeah.
But then the payoff would be at the 24 hours and 1 minute when everybody starts coming back and boom, everything's back and running again, and nobody knows what happens. And I start posting pictures on Facebook of selfies with me. I'm like, oh great, Chrissy, it was so great to see you yesterday. I missed you so much. And they're like, what the hell is this? Just to make them question where real in reality for a little bit.
Yeah, because you'd actually be able to get across the border and back without being stopped.
Exactly.
However, if people were in line, I don't know how you'd get through the toll booths and things like that.
You know what? I'd go up through the St. Lawrence Bridge, right? Because that's the easier way to get to Ottawa. It's more direct. You're not driving west to go north and then to go east. You'd go up right through Ogdensburg and whatnot, go over at St. Lawrence River. And that's
the ass end of New York, yep.
Exactly. It's a rarely congested crossing spot.
Okay.
I've been up through there several times to see my family, and it's never been an issue. So
I just refer to that part of as the town that time forgot.
Oh, and I would bring wine and Abbott's with me because And Zweigels, because they don't get that in Ottawa, right? They get wine, but they don't get like New York State wines a lot. And Abbott's and Zweigels are usually the big requests.
So you'd leave it
from
in
my
the
Canadian
freezer.
cousins. So I'd leave it in the freezer, and I just really just mess with their heads for a little while. That would amuse the absolute hell out of me for the longest time. And I could get across the border with contraband. Basically, that'd be fun. Oh, that was the best. A few years ago, I was my aunt. My dad's younger sister, who married the Canadians, and that's why I have Canadian family. She was visiting, and certain things fell through, and she needed one of us to drive her back to Ottawa so she could meet up with my cousin, her oldest, and then she would get a ride. She would get a flight back to Saskatchewan. So we're tooling along. It's been a while since I've had a chance to sit down with my aunt, and we're chatting and whatnot. And we get to the border. And, I answer all the questions and I explain what's going on. They're like, okay, cool. Yeah, thanks. Have a great day. Boom. And she's like, you didn't tell him about the wine and this wine and you didn't tell him about the stuff we're carrying. Christopher, you lied to that man. I said, yeah, it's okay. It's not like I'm carrying guns. But she just perseverated over it for about a half an hour that I didn't tell him I had anything to declare. And I was like, it's ice cream, Aunt Nancy. It was ice cream. Nobody's going to care about Abbott's, I thought that was funny. All right, who we have not heard from yet on that question? Dan, have you thought about anything yet, or are you just kind of agreeing?
I'm just kind of agreeing. Yeah.
Agreeing. Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't have an answer.
All right, that's fair enough. All right, so let's move on to another question here. All right. Tanya.
Hold on. Before you go to the next question. So
you waited too long. I'm talking over you. No, go ahead. What's up?
During the break, Billy sent a Star Wars The Child animatronic thing from Amazon to the Monkey Messenger thread. So Dan and I hop onto Amazon. Of course, we pre-order ours. So I forward it to Anne. She goes, "Oh my God, do we need more? LOL." I go, Dan and I just ordered ours, and she sent back the face palm slapping the face, and she's like, "Ugh." She's like, but then she says she's baking banana bread and zucchini bread. So,
I just made banana bread too. That's what a coincidence.
Yeah. Well, oh my God, she made the best lasagna yesterday, but Krista probably didn't get any of it because it baked after he left. But there was a nice thick layer of cheese on the top. But okay, Chris, you can go to your next question. Chris?
I think Chris left us.
Chris? Did you mute? He must have hit the mute button again because there's a
damn thing. I hate it.
It's
Chris,
an awful
in protest of being interrupted, left us.
What's that?
Chris, in protest of being interrupted with the next question, left us. He walked out.
I'm just like, that's an awful long time without him saying anything again.
If you can interrupt me, then you don't need me around. So I'm out of here.
Go you guys. I'm going home.
Hey, Christopher.
Yes, dear.
What is the silliest fear you have?
The silliest fear that I have?
Yes. That's our next question.
I don't think my fears are all that silly, to be honest.
Spiders are kind of a silly fear.
No, spiders are not a silly fear.
Especially when you have.
Have I told the story on the podcast of why I'm afraid of spiders? Have I told that story?
Something about spiders jumping at you in your car.
No.
No?
No, I was like 6 or 7 years old, living on the street that I grew up on, right? And I was a few houses down playing with one of the neighborhood kids, Legos, race cars, whatever the case may be. We didn't know. But unbeknownst to me, this kid's older brother, who was in his teens, collected tarantulas. He had 3 or 4 of them, right? And he had a big old terrarium in his room, and he had a tank with snakes and everything. So this kid was your oddball exotic pet guy. Well, he was cleaning the terrarium. And when he was done, he got 3 of the tarantulas accounted for, but one of them had wandered off. Okay. Where did they find it?
Your house?
No. Where did they find it? More specific.
On your back.
Right on my right shoulder, climbing up over my I didn't know. It's a delicate little thing, right? Okay. So here I am, 6, 7 years old. I don't remember how long ago now, but it was single digits, and I was young, and I was little, and I didn't know. I was oblivious. I'm Legos. I'm good. Race cars, Matchbox cars. I'm good. We were having fun, right? And all of a sudden, nobody saw it first. I saw it. I saw the legs coming up over my shoulder. And this is how vividly I remember. I was wearing a blue T-shirt with white gray sleeves on it. I was wearing little light blue gym shorts.
Wow,
I
this
had my
really.
this memory is burned into my brain, right? And I was screaming my head off, running around, and of course the thing is clinging for dear life because it's like, holy crap! What the heck? This mountain is now moving. What the hell? Right? And they had to pull it off of me, and the mother was scolding the brother who lost it. You shouldn't let him out like that. And I didn't know, and there's a whole lot of yelling going on. Meanwhile, I am leaving vapor trails behind me as I am crying my eyes out. I'm on my way home, and I was rolling on the ground because if there was any others on me, I had nightmares. Let me tell you what it was like. Fast forward, 9-10 years when you're watching Raiders of the Lost Ark for the first time, and Alfred Molina's character turns around and there's this garden. I went vapor lock. I missed I had to watch that movie like 5-10 more times to understand what happened after that moment, because I was in complete vapor lock seeing all those tarantulas on this guy's back. It was just okay. So yeah, I hate spiders for a really good reason.
So it's not a silly fear. It's definitely not a silly fear.
It's not a silly fear. I'll tell you what, one of my OCD things lately is if I see something pointed at me, like a pencil or a pen, or even like a butter knife or something. If I see it pointed at me, I immediately just reach out and I spin it because I don't want it pointed at me. That's like one of my OCD little quirk things that I notice. But silly fear, I don't know if I have a silly. I don't know if there's things that I'm afraid of other than that. Really, I tend to be fairly fearless otherwise. When I should be. There are times I should be fearful of the situation that I'm in, but I'm really not. I think that might be the silly thing, is there are times I'm like, kind of like, I look at a situation and I'm like, I should probably be a little concerned right now, but I don't care. I'm moving forward. Silly fear. I have an irrational fear of furries. We'll go with that. How's that?
Okay.
There's just something about that culture that just kind of unnerves me a little bit. There's just weird. It's weird to me, but hey, more power to them. I respect their decisions. It's not like I'm like, no, let's be honest, I really don't. But anyway,
that's going to come back to bite you in the ass.
Hopefully it's not in a furry suit when that happens.
Most fears aren't really silly. They do have usually a basis, and there's a reason for them. I mean, unless you're like afraid of Jell-O or...
Yeah. I had an Amazon delivery down to the basement, and then when I felt the envelope, it's a DVD or game disc, so I gave it back to Randy to go give to Tyler.
Oh, nice.
They delivered to your basement?
Yes, they delivered to my basement.
Wow. They go right in your house.
They let themselves in. They grab a cup of coffee on the way out.
Yep.
So how about you, Daniel-san? Do you have a silly fear?
I don't know if any of them are really silly. I don't think so. I mean, not that I can...
You don't have like a fear of clowns or a fear of Jell-O?
No.
Fear of getting a good night's sleep.
Well, I'm a fear of, that's not a fear, it's I don't get a good night's sleep. No, I mean, it's just the fear of, I got, some kind of regular fear, the fear of being alone, the fear of, I don't have that many fear, nothing that's a great fear. I mean, I've jumped out of an airplane, so the height isn't there.
God,
seriously.
No, now that you say that, I'm going to jump in and say I've seen at the amusement park they have those bungee things,
the slingshot type things.
That terrifies me just watching people do that.
I'm going to tell you, Billy, that is not a silly fear, Billy. That is not a silly fear at all, because I share that.
Has a fear of heights.
I don't like heights. No, that's not silly either. There are times I have a hard time looking at my own shoes, but that's...
I like roller coasters and rides like that, but the bungee jumping to me is insane.
There's no control over it.
Yeah, bungee jumping. I didn't enjoy the bungee jumping. I'll tell you, I did. You
enjoyed the
jumping.
girl who was getting into the harness. That was.
I did not enjoy the bungee jumping, because again, like you said, once you drop down, it's like I was flapping around like a rag doll because it was just you're just Yeah, I mean, skydiving, I like. I like
Well,
skydiving.
a lot of bungee jumping nowadays gets you from the ankles so that you're hanging upside down, right? But it also it
Yeah.
eliminates a lot of that flopping around. The harness you were in was right around your torso, so it was
Right.
like a jacket harness, and I think that kind of contributed to the fact that you were flopping around like a rag doll because
Possibly, yeah.
you were not as controlled in that respect. So I think that might have had it had something to do with the experience.
Yeah, but I don't think
Were you
I
there?
would do it to my ankles.
No, I was not there, but Dan.
I have the video.
He has the
Okay.
videotape. And 5 minutes after he did it, he was at my house putting the VCR tape going, and look what I did next. You know, this is why Dan is the Gryffindor and I'm a Hufflepuff. You know, people would look at me and go, "Oh, Dan, Chris has got to be a Gryffindor." No, Chris is not a Gryffindor. Chris is a Hufflepuff.
Dan, are you a Gryffindor?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, Dan's the fearless one.
Gryffindors unite. I'm a Gryffindor too, but I've got some healthy fears of stuff. So
No, it's okay to have fears. It's just how you overcome the fears, or if you can overcome the fears. I mean, fears are natural. I mean,
courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is being afraid and doing the what you got to do anyway.
Okay,
Right.
so like I had a fear of jumping into the like ball pit at altitude. You know, like a bounce into the box.
Well, it's because there's snakes in there.
And spiders.
Spiders away. But it's just I think it's the fear of that I'm older and what if I get hurt?
That's not really a fear. That's just being cautious. That's not really a fear.
That's not a fear.
I mean,
that's just being cautious.
No, I mean, because I won't go on. I mean, I don't go on spinning rides, not because I fear them, but because I know I'm going to be sick after that. You know, kind of thing. Yeah. You know, I'm not scared of a spinning ride because I used to go on them all the time, but I know that I'll get sick of them now.
Oh,
I still have. So I guess a silly fear I had, I don't have it as much because we don't do it anymore, was making phone calls. To initiate a phone call, I had to prepare myself. I was scared. I don't know why, but I was.
Social interaction can be a little nerve-wracking sometimes.
Yeah, and that was the longest time. But it was just to call anybody to initiate that call was a. So when I took a job at Xerox in the call center, that was pretty. You know, but you got to confront your fear. You know, I didn't. Right. I was never good at interacting with people, so I took a job at Tops as a cashier. You know, and that taught me to better do it. I'm not great at it still, but I've put myself in a situation where I had to do, confront that fear and overcome it. So, it made me, it was a great experience working, as a cashier, then at the service desk and things like that, because you have to interact with people, and that's something I was not very good at. So,
who's clipping their nails?
Not it.
Not it.
I heard the noise, but I don't know what it is.
It's either that or it's like scissors or something, or a pen clicking.
No, that must have been me then, because I was clicking a pen at one point.
I was going to say, because it sounded like cutting nails, and it was like, okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'll stop clicking my pen.
Oh, no, that's, it's funny, because lately, in the last 2 weeks, during team meetings and stuff at work, my anxiety has gone where I've just become so overwhelmed at times and just frustrated or whatever, that I've had a clicky pen with me. And the social worker's like, Tanya, stop it! from across the classroom, because we have to maintain our social distance even in a team meeting. And she's like, stop it! Because they can hear my pen.
See, here's what's happening right now is that I'm rolling around with that memory of that damn spider on my shoulder.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Because if anybody can actually understand that this is actually possible, I was small at one point in my life.
Really?
At about 6 or 7 years old, I was an average size little boy. Okay, so I have not always. I didn't get spawned at 6'5", 250.
Yeah, you would have heard about it from your mom if you had. Yeah.
Yes, your mom is a Wonder Woman.
I just didn't suddenly appear at full size, and so an average size domesticated tarantula is massive compared to the shoulder of a small boy.
Yeah.
That son of a bitch is in my head now.
That would make a difference. I mean, yeah.
So hopefully this afternoon in Evan's campaign, there won't be any spiders.
Oh, we're dealing with drow. There's going to be spiders all over the damn place.
Oh yeah, that's right.
D&D has actually helped me deal with it to a particular degree. I mean, I still get kind of freaked out around real spiders from time to time, but people can talk about spiders in game. Your character's looking at this 20-foot spider. It's okay. It's just another monster. I'll deal with it. I can imagine
it's pretend.
It's pretend, and it makes it easier. But over the years, it's kind of softened the blow. But there are times where if I'm caught off guard, and if it's especially large or something like that, it's just like it's really hard to deal with at first. But anyway,
and Chris
or if it's Facebook memes or videos posted by our dear friends Sean and Daniel.
Those are getting a little old, I got to tell you. They're actually having the opposite effect. Sean goes, "I'm trying to help you desensitize yourself." No, it's not helping. You were saying, Billy?
Your fear of spiders things reminded me of a baseball player named Glenn Allen Hill. So I had to look it up. This talks about Glenn Allen Hill's nightmarish spider attack back in 1990. Okay. Apparently, former outfielder, then playing for the Blue Jays, had an extreme case of arachnophobia. And on one terrifying night, the 8-legged creatures came after him in a dream. Hill, in a semi-conscious state, jumped out of bed, ran into another room, crashing through a glass table and suffering bruises and cuts on his feet, legs, and elbows. He was placed on the 15-day disabled list the following day.
Wow. Yeah.
And I've always remembered that the baseball player that went through a glass table because of a
dream,
spider dream.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I tried to face my fears once, my senior year of college. When I was in Harmon Gordon Hall over at Brockport, and I had it was like a Thursday or Friday night, and everybody was already out, and most things were under control. And the movie of the night on ABC was none other than Jeff Daniels' Arachnophobia. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. There were several factors in my that were not working in my favor that night, but I ignored them. I was alone. The dorm was quiet. I had nothing to distract me. There was no such thing as cell phones or smartphones back in the day. And I was alone. And did I mention that I was the only one in the room? And so I'm watching the opening scene, and I'm doing the usual Tanya Metra special where you're hiding behind your hands, you're watching slightly open fingers. And I'm like, okay, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then there's the first big jump scare. And
you're like, okay, I'm not doing this.
I screamed that short, high-pitched panic scream of shock, right? And well, when I was in my room as an RA, if I was not doing something important or sleeping, then my door was open. Okay, so that scream rebounded all the way down the hall, apparently down around the corner and down the other wing, to the point where my friend Cassie, who was a fellow RA, came trundling down the hall to find out what was going on. She's like, she pops up in my room. She goes, "I heard his screams. Everybody okay?" And I'm like, "No, you didn't hear a thing. No, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about." And she looked at the TV. She looked at me, and she'd known me for long enough. She goes, "What are you doing?" She shuts the TV off. She shut the TV off. She's like, "What are you doing to yourself?" I'm like, what?
I don't know.
I don't know. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't hang in there on that one. So I don't know. That's not silly. Not in my opinion, at least. That's very real.
No, it's not silly.
So if you have a silly fear, dear listener, feel free to add that to our Twitter feed or our Facebook feeds, because we want to hear some silly fears. We spend enough time talking about like legit ones.
What would be a silly fear?
A fear of the color 9? No.
Hey, wait a second.
A fear of Legos? I don't know.
That'd just be sad.
Yeah.
A fear of stepping on Legos.
Well, that's not
legit.
a fear. Yeah.
That's a concern. A fear of the Spice Girls.
Well, that's not unreasonable too.
But with them, all you got to do is tell them what you want, what you really want.
Yeah, there you go. But hey, come on, even one of them is called Scary Spice. Come on, there's a fear there. There's fear there.
Here, I'm Googling silly phobias.
Okay. Ooh, how about the old Far Side? Lupuslipophobia.
Oh, lupuslipophobia. Fear of being chased around the kitchen floor by timber wolves for wearing socks and a kitchen
on a freshly waxed floor.
Yes.
Whoa. Okay. I totally missed that.
Xerophobia is a fear of dryness.
Fear of dryness.
That's what it says.
Okay.
Linonophobia, a fear of string.
Okay.
Xanthophobia is a fear of yellow things.
Isn't there's a word for the fear of long words, and it's this huge word. It's a tremendously long word itself. It starts with hippo too, if I'm not mistaken. It's like hippo something phobia, and it's the fear of long words.
I don't know, but there's a hexacasio hexacantana hexaphobia, the fear of the number 666.
Oh, jeez.
Let's see, tyrophobia, fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of one's mouth.
The phobophobia is a mortal fear of developing a phobia.
Papophobia, the fear of the Pope.
Peladophobia is a fear of bald people.
So I guess there's some.
I think Chris muted himself again.
No, I'm just been quiet.
Oh, okay.
Or this,
like there's an awful long thing in regards to Chris. So I'm like, okay.
I don't always have to be talking. I know that it's hard to believe, but that because I always get into these rants and rambles. But there are times where I can sit quietly and let you guys do your thing.
Here we go. Me-phobia is the fear of becoming so awesome that the human race can't handle it and everyone else dies.
I am therefore I am me-phobic.
I am not.
You should be though. Damn it. Freaking awesome.
Anetidaephobia, fear of being watched by a duck.
Oh, here it is. Here's that. Here's the fear of long words. The
Smith
phobia. The fear of long words. Yeah, it's like
the Q
30 characters long.
Yeah, the X and the Q are silent.
Yeah.
I'm autonomia. That's funny. On a completely different tangent. Hey, Billy.
Hey, Chris.
What type of kid were you? Were you spoiled, rebellious, well-behaved, quiet, obnoxious? I'm not going to ask Tanya this question because I already know.
I was mostly what I am now. Sort of sarcastic, but mostly sort of shy unless with friends. With friends, I could be funny. I was nerdy. I like to read and watch TV, and a lot of times just be by myself. But in terms of, I wasn't the type to go out and cause trouble, or it doesn't mean I never got into trouble or did anything bad, but. I always liked being with my family and wasn't much of a troublemaker. So
I'm gonna do some psychoanalysis. That's awesome because it shows a great level of self-awareness. It's like, if I change along the way, great. But you know what? I'm kind of comfortable with who I am. This is working. This is good. This is kind of this. But that's
either that or I've just been a mess since the day I was born.
Yeah, well, then we all attract each other to each other because messes they clump together. That's why we get along.
But I've always worn T-shirts with goofy things on the front of them. I've always listened to music and read comic books and watched TV. So, and been and really enjoyed my friends and not enjoyed sort of strangers. That I guess that might be one of my not silly fears, but I get social anxiety in big groups of strangers too. So.
I do too, to a certain degree. I mean, obviously, because of my jobs over the years, I've had to find ways around that. And it's not so much I'm comfortable in front of large groups; it's that I know I'm capable in front of large groups, but it doesn't allay the fears. There are times where I'm still like, I see a large sea of people, and I get really, really nervous, but I hang in there and try to make the best of it.
Yep, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a fear of public speaking when I'm being put on the spot. That I don't have time to prep. It's like year one of FC3, we didn't have someone to announce the Yellow Power Rangers. So both Walter and Karen's like, "Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Just say blah 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 blah." I'm just like, they're like, "Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Whatever." And I did, but I'm just like, I was terrified.
You did a great job, though. I heard about that after the fact. I remember you telling me your side of it, but then a couple of our volunteers were like, "She did fine. She was awesome." And they were like, "I don't know what she was worried about," you know.
I'm just like, they're like, then you have to make sure you say it's morphin time, or like, what time is it? And they're like, I'm like, okay, but
it's howdy doody time. Wait, what?
But being put on the spot initially. I
Uh-huh.
can't do it. Like, I can teach in front of my kids at school and things like that. But as soon as like my boss walks in, I'm just like, what? Because he walks in with like his hands behind his back and he just gives you that look. You're like, you're trying to read his body language and say, did you need something? Did I do something
That's the
wrong?
thing about you, dear, is that you are very capable. The only person who doesn't see it is you.
Yeah, well,
So you have to get those moments where you leap beyond yourself. You know,
Yeah, I can introduce bands in front of thousands of people. It's holding like one-on-one or one-on 2 or 3 conversations with people I don't know where I sort of freeze up. So
I remember this question, the what type of kid were you? Tanya, this is kind of a no-brainer. You were very I will go so far as to say sheltered.
I led a sheltered life, yes.
And I don't want to be like rude about it, but naive to a particular degree.
Very.
And a quiet little sort.
However, I was growing up. You couldn't shut me up.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I was constantly talking. I was one of those Vince Lombardi cheerleaders, so I was always outgoing in that respect. I was asked to leave dance class because I was kind of mean. Only because I liked the guy. But I was like 6. Something like that. I don't know. It was ballet class. I was like 6. But yeah, I'm like, my parents would say, like, when we go on vacations, if for the listeners, if they don't know, I was an only child.
Are you still an only child?
Technically not. Technically not.
It's a very interesting and complicated story. Someday we'll talk about it.
Yeah, it's a very complicated story. So, like going to Florida and stuff for family vacations, they couldn't get me out of the pool, and I would make friends with everybody that was there, and like I'd be one to say hi, and then all of a sudden I just ingratiate myself into whatever game they were playing at 6, 7, 8, whatever, and now all of a sudden we're being tossed through the pool type thing, and my parents would just shake their head because they just are like whatever. But then they're like, but they look at me now, they're like, but why are you like that now? He's like, we can remember when you were just like, oh, da, da, da. And now you're like, oh no, I'm not going to talk to that person, or I'm not, whatever. So there's like things have changed, but like in high school I wasn't part of that popular crowd, but I was a cheerleader, but I was not necessarily with the in crowd. I was still on the outskirts of it because I was kind of self-conscious and insecure about that teen and the body image issues and things like that, and I still have it every so often. But like I can just remember them, like the rest of the team members getting mad when I had cut my hair really short. And because they like, oh, now we can't, now it's not going to look uniform in regards to the head flipping back with all the ponytails. Why would you do that to us? And I'm just like, yeah. And I'm just like, it's my hair. I'm just like, I was frustrated and sick of it type thing. So I think I wouldn't say I was spoiled, but I led a privileged life as a child. And growing up, and I didn't really necessarily want for anything, but I also knew how to work to get stuff done to get it. I mean, I did have a job, I did have a car.
At 6?
Yeah, at 6. No, now we're at like 17.
Okay.
I've jumped to 17, Christopher. I jumped to the high school years. keep up with me. Come on.
I can't keep up. There's too much. I mean, there's this whole thing about like the talking too much thing. I don't know.
Somehow she froze time for 11 years.
From it all.
She froze time on me, and I'm not. I'm like,
No, I went from like I was always like talking and things like that. But I also felt like there was times where I wasn't necessarily part of that in crowd, and I was on the outskirts and things like that. And there's still times where I feel that way. But like overall, I was one of those well-behaved children. I mean, I was, as I said, I was an only child. If anything happened, I knew I was going to be the one that was going to be blamed for it. So let's not do anything that would have that. But yeah, I wouldn't say I was quiet, but I was a reader. So I read a lot.
How about you, Daniel-san? I mean, I know most of the answer because we've been friends since we were 14. But
Yeah, well, I was a quiet child.
I think the term would be better off as painfully shy.
Reserved?
Reserved.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, he still is to a degree, and that's good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm pretty much. I mean, I've come out obviously a little bit over the years, but I mean, I'm still a quiet person. I communicate better in like written word than in person a lot of the times, because I have time to think about what I want to say.
Right.
You're exactly right about that, Dan. I'm the same way.
Yeah. So that's been the whole thing for a lot of it. It's just not a good speaker. That's why when we talked about if you're making a phone call, it's like, what do I say? How do I talk about this versus just responding to somebody. We grew up when I grew up there, and we didn't really have neighbors.
Me neither.
Yeah, so we lived on the main street in Spencerport there, kind of thing. So there was, we didn't wander in the street. I didn't wander in the street, but I didn't have friends that lived close by for most of the time. Once in a while, there were people that moved in half a mile down the road or something that were, relatively close that I could, ride my bike on the main street too. So I spent a lot of time by myself. So, once I learned to read, I read a lot. I played out in the fields a lot because we were surrounded by fields. It's a lot of time by myself.
I think Dan and I are actually kindred spirits. However, I was a little more outgoing in regards to that. I was a member of like a cheerleading squad or whatever, but same. I mean, I grew up in Avon. I mean,
I was forced to square dance at a young age, but
Oh, we did square dancing at school.
Well, my dad was a square dance caller, remember? So I had no choice. I learned.
You had no choice in the matter.
I joined a square dance club.
Around, do-si-do, all that type of stuff.
Do-si-do, square, swing your partner.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was forced into that because I was basically dragged to square dance, kicking and screaming, said you're going to learn. But
whether you like it or not.
Right. I'd go out with my dad. We'd go out to auctions and stuff, or flea markets or garage sales on the weekends, and so I learned appreciation of old stuff and collecting stuff.
Oh yeah, the Avon flea market was something that we would do like every Sunday. So
yeah.
I know, because Billy and Chris, you guys grew up in the city, right?
Yes.
And where Dan grew up in suburban/rural, depending on where you were in Spencerport, and I grew up in rural. So yeah, it's a totally different atmosphere. I'm like, as Chris, you and Billy both had friends that would live like down the street or whatever that you could get to. Whereas if I wanted
down and across the street, there was. I grew up on a block that had, I think, 9 kids. We were all the same age, just on my block alone. We all went to school together.
I mean, when we moved from Livonia or Lakeville to Avon when I was 6, like when we was living in Lakeville, my cousin Terry lived 2 doors up, but we weren't cousins yet. But we were friends, but she's 3 years older than I am. And then I moved to Lima / Avon area. The street that I grew up on was Old 5 and 20, and there's 4 houses on it, and I was the only kid on that street. And Lima was 2 miles away, so my parents had 4 acres, and then there's cornfields and stuff around. So yeah, I learned to figure out how to amuse myself by playing Barbies or reading books or things like that. And so when I finally had a chance to have like best friends or people I hung out with, it wasn't really until high school. Well, I did have one that she has the same birthday as I do, and her name's Kimberly. Funny story. It's her and I have the same birthday, and she lived in Lima, and we were like inseparable, not knowing that I would find out this past year that my birth name was Kimberly.
Right.
And before I was adopted, and it was just so funny. But
So 2 Kims on the same day.
yeah. 2 different hospitals, because I was born in Warsaw and she was born, I think, either at Strong or General or Highland or something. But yeah, it's just interesting.
And I'm a little bit older than Chris, so but back in the mid 70s, late 70s, you could still go a few blocks away to a friend's house. Like I had friends in school, and it wasn't like nowadays, because of the way times have changed, parents really got to know where their kids are all the time. Back then you could go out and play, and as long as you're home on time or whatever,
that's how I was.
You could sort of disappear from your parents' view for
be home for dinner. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Well, and Randy would tell you the same thing, because he's older than Chris and Dan, and he's like he grew up in Spencerport, but he grew up in the village, but he would go out to like Wide Waters and things like that with his friends Stuart and Steve, and they'd be gone for hours upon hours. They come back for lunch, and then they go out again. In the woods, in the trees, in the new housing developments, jumping stuff out there. Randy will tell you all the sorts of stuff that they got involved when they were children. They were more the adventurous ones. So, but I don't know. I think that next question that we had,
which is,
how have TV shows changed over the years? That's got to be its whole
I was going to
podcast.
say the same thing.
That's going to be a whole podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, we even touched on it. We touched on that recently when we were talking about 70s and 80s TV. You know, we did that a couple of weeks ago. I don't know, time stop. And so, but that's definitely a long conversation to be had. How are we doing on time anyway? My screensaver.
We're at 106.
We're at 106. That's good enough. People have gotten to know us a little bit more today, as they always do. We're just kind of chewing the fat like always. Here we are.
and believe me, we've gotten a whole idea of what Chris was like when he was a child.
That's right, Chris.
Well, what do you think? No, you tell me what you think. That's the answer. Tell me what you think I was like when I was a kid, and then I'll tell you if you're right or not.
Gregarious and outgoing.
Okay. How about you, Tanya? I mean, Dan, you know the answer, but I want to hear what Tanya thinks.
I mean, I know that there was a lot of times where you spent time alone, and you were okay with spending time alone.
Yeah, because I, like you, an only child.
That I think it was like probably a mixed bag. It was probably mood dependent in regards to, were you going to be outgoing and things like that, or were you going to be more reserved and studious and bookish at that point. I just interactions that I've had conversations with you that and your mom that you've are kind of adventurous in regards to that you've gone out to vacation spots and have really found the joy of stuff. Like with like becoming a Red Sox fan. Sorry, I had to clear my throat there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry.
you're not fooling anybody, Metris.
This is coming from a household of Yankees fans, so therefore, I've been to Yankees games, and it's a point of contention between us. But yes, I want to say you were probably similar to me in your upbringing, in your personality than growing up.
I was very shy. I was really, really shy, and I was very much. I rose to the occasion when I was around people, but I was very, very. I was actually preferred to be on my own. I preferred to be left alone, just so I can build my Legos. Read a book, whatever the case may be. when I got, because I was also bullied a lot when I was in grammar school, like in the younger years, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, 7th grade especially, and and when I got to Aquinas, um, only a couple of the faces from grammar school were still there. And one of the guys who tried to bully me a lot actually came to AQ, was there for a couple of years.
Hey, one of the guys that bullied me going to grammar school came to AQ too.
Yeah, and so here I was, just doing my best, and I think it was right around like late sophomore, early junior years when I kind of started getting in the middle of things a little bit more. You know, if you caught me when I was 11, 12, 13, there was no chance in hell that I would ever aspire to like a leadership type of a position. Whereas nowadays it seems to be a very natural fit. People are like, okay, Chris is in charge. Even when he's not, they look at me anyway. And it's but yeah, I started small, not just physically, but presence wise, very small, very just if I can get through the day without being noticed, I'm good. And so yeah, it's not the guy who you probably would have expected to see. But that's
No, but it makes sense.
yeah.
Well, that's why I like to be behind the mixing board and behind something the man behind the curtain type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. So how about we take another break? When we come back, we can do a question of the week, round off the day, and move on.
You got it.
Perfect.
Beautiful. All right, and that was fun, and we're back, and that's a thing. How are you? Are we doing well? I'm asking you, dear listener, you people with the headphones on, or you're listening to us on your computers, or whatever the case may be. Feel free to join the conversation, as always. By the way, you may hear me talk about it from time to time on Nerd World News and mentioning it on Comic Chicks, but we have a Patreon. www.patreon.com/FC3ROC. There's plenty of levels there. And if you reach out to us, if you don't see something that fits, reach out to us and we'll customize something for you as well. Your support has been amazing. It's allowed us to do a lot of new things with Nerd World News and to get the word of the podcast out a little bit more. So please, 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 if you like what we're doing and you want to see us get better at it, then feel free to support us. Also, you can go out to Amazon and pick us as your Amazon Smile recipient. And on Amazon, we have Nerd World News t-shirts. We have FC3 Monkey Business t-shirts. You can order those out and wear your monkey business pride out in the open where everybody can see it and say, hey, we want to know these people because they support cool folks like Dan and Billy. Billy are cool folks. And Tanya and I, we aspire to be like Dan and Billy.
Whoa.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Tanya.
Is it possible now is it been long enough that we could get you our Comic Chicks logo to put stuff up to do Comic Chicks merch or no?
Sure.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I need a higher quality image if you have it, because the one I have is actually kind of small.
I will contact Rob Dumo and see if he has a higher quality image that he could send you directly, because he was the one that's what we got from him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Comic Chicks. Yeah. Sure, it's coming soon.
Dun, dun, dun.
And Ann and I are talking. We were talking yesterday that we really need to get the Cricut machine, because now she's like, could you imagine what we could have done right now? So we've been researching it for the last couple of weeks, and Dan, we were in the process of doing Comic Chicks like 2 weeks ago, and we were texting Dan at the same time, and Dan's like, what's a Cricut machine?
I was just about to ask, because when things get quiet, you just get...
You hear crickets, right? No, a Cricut, it's CIRCUT. It's like a die cutting machine that you can cut vinyl and wood and other things that it will cut out photos, images, logos. Like we could put the FC3 logo on there, and we could make our own like tumblers and coasters and T-shirts and things like that because we could get a heat press and we could make our own T-shirts at a fraction of the price.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very, very interesting.
So Anne's like, could you imagine what we could have done already? I'm like, yeah, no kidding. So
I'll imagine it when I see it.
yeah. Well, she's already figured out how many T-shirts we would need to sell in order to break even and start making a profit. So it's really not that many. Because that's how she thinks.
Yes, that's what she's best at, is figuring stuff like that out.
Yeah.
So while we're doing the whole asking random questions thing, let's go ahead and jump in our question of the week. Dan, I pick question 186.
186. All right. What sport could you play the longest in a televised game without anyone discovering you aren't a professional athlete?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, Billy, what do you think?
I know the answer. I'm going to go with bowling because I am pretty decent at it. So
there you go.
Okay.
That's a viable one.
I might be able to do that for a game.
Tanya, what do you think?
I think I probably would have to say golf. That would be the one because I, just like a professional golfer, I have shots that are great and shots that are not so great. So I think that's what I do.
Daniel, do you have an answer to your own question?
Is foosball considered a sport?
Sure.
Table tennis.
I used to be pretty good at that. I used to be pretty good at it.
Spin the things.
Pretty well. We had some killer foosball games at college there. Me and Chun Yan Wong, and he was,
the foosball master.
During the early days of COVID, ESPN would have gladly shown a foosball tournament.
See, there you go.
That's phenomenal. I'm going to throw out darts.
Darts, okay.
I've watched darts on. I can't remember what channel used to carry it, but it was one of the internet channels that I have on my TV. But yeah, competitive darts, and the crowd was huge, and everybody was wearing costumes. It's like, let's make a deal meets,
wow.
The old Toad Pub. It was just amazing. It was just amazing. So yeah, darts. I'm gonna go with darts. And if you, dear listener, have a suggestion, feel free to add that to our Twitter feed or the Facebook feed, whichever you're accessing our podcast through. We want to hear what you have to say to answer that particular question, because that's hilarious.
All
right. So what do we got coming up? Do we have anything coming up in particular at the moment? We've got
nothing at the moment besides.
Is there a Comic Chicks today?
Yes, there is a Comic Chicks today or tonight or later on. Yes.
Yeah, well, whichever you're actually listening to the show on.
On Wednesday.
It may have been yesterday.
On Wednesday, September 30th, there will be a Comic Chick.
There you go.
They could be listening to it on Thursday, which then
I think we need to decide our next book for book club. So
okay, may I suggest going with one of the classics?
You may suggest.
Okay.
We may or may not take that suggestion, but you may suggest.
I'm going to suggest a book that I have talked about often on this podcast, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's a very easy book. It's a very easy book. It's a quick read. It's a quick read, and it's funny. It's very, very funny.
Now, didn't we decide that it wasn't my humor? That it just doesn't fly for me?
And when does that ever stop me?
Yeah, well.
You don't have to take a suggestion, but it is a good suggestion.
Yeah.
I'll run it by Anne, but yeah.
Or I guess you could go to to the Hobbit or something like that.
The Lesser of Two Evils. I guess we're going with the Adventurer's Guide to the Galaxy. Or the
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah. What's wrong with the Hobbit?
It's long.
No, the Hobbit is short.
Oh. Well, the Hobbit is short, but it's a very heavy book too. It's still
Lord of the the Hobbit is more of it was geared to children's though. The Hobbit is more of a children's book.
Yeah, that's fair.
Versus the Lord of the Rings, the trilogy there, that's the heavy hitter there.
That's true. That is fair.
The Hobbit is actually fairly light.
There's
except
also,
except when you make it into 3-hour long movies, then it somehow gets heavier. But
Yeah, no kidding.
the book isn't like the movies.
I will also suggest Zelazny's The Chronicles of Amber, Heinlein's The Glory Road, anything from Ellison, Asimov's The Foundation.
Oh, Foundation. There you go.
You know, so we can get you into some hard, crunchy stuff to play with. That would be fun. So
I'll go back to reading my romance novel on my Kindle.
I don't know. Is Danielle Steele she geeky?
I'm not a Danielle Steele fan. I'm really,
Or her ilk, as the case may be.
I
mean, come on. Let me circle around to my original idea. Check this out. I mean, here the book is right in front of me. Give me a second here. Let me look at this. God, this book is torn up. I wonder how many times I've read it.
A lot.
Right. Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy lies a small, unregarded yellow sun. Come on, that's beautiful. That's poetry right there. Like, orbiting this at a distance of roughly 98 million miles is an utterly insignificant little blue-green planet whose ape-descended life forms are so amazingly primitive that they still think digital watches are a pretty neat idea. That's gold. That's awesome.
How do you not like a story that starts like that? I mean, come on.
I mean, how do you turn that down?
Was I supposed to be listening?
Oh.
And this has been Monkey Business.
Yeah. Hey, Dan. Hey, Dan.
Chris. Yeah, Chris.
Hit it. Because this has been Monkey Business, a product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic-Con, coming at you in April of 2021. Follow us on Facebook, like us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us wherever we go, and we will lead you to where the entertainment is, even if it's been written by Douglas Adams. You guys have a great week, have a safe week, and we will talk to you all again next week.
Dun,
Dun, dun.